you ever thought about investing in short-term rentals and then thought to yourself, that sounds like a full-time job? You're not wrong, but it doesn't have to be, because short-term rentals can be just as easy as long-term rentals with the right tools. Today, I'm going to show you how I operate multiple high-performing short-term rental sites while having a full-time job, a life, and trying to get 8 hours of sleep every night. The secret? I'm going to show you in today's episode. Hey everyone, my name is Garrett Brown. I'm a short-term rental investor from Houston, Texas, and the BiggerPockets STR expert. I have short-term rentals making over $1 million in revenue every single year, while also working a full-time job at BiggerPockets. And I hear the same thing over and over when it comes to long-term rentals versus short-term rentals. Long-term rentals are so much easier. Short-term rentals are the hardest thing ever. They just take so much work and you got to deal with so many things. I get it, but there are so many tools nowadays that can make your life so much easier in the short-term rental world that it is just as easy as running a long-term rental and about 4 or 5 times more profitable. Let's break down why short-term rentals can actually be way better than long-term rentals, especially when you get these tools in place. Most of the time you think of having to message guests all day and make sure your cleaners know they need to be there, and making sure you don't have double bookings and have to deal with all these nightmares that come from just bad management on the back end. Those can all be mitigated with one simple software called Hospitable. This is the property management software that I use, and it has saved me so much time and effort just getting these short-term rentals to operate on their own, essentially. There is some more setup in the beginning you need to do with short-term rentals, cleaners, making sure you have handy people that are available at different times if needed. But did you know that a single short-term rental on average makes about $48,000 a year, and a long-term rental on average makes about $16,000 a year? That is a massive difference that, even with a little bit of automation and a little setup up front, I'm willing to take as I'm growing the same type of short-term rental investing journey that you are probably trying to grow as well. Now the question becomes not, is it too hard, but how do I make this as passive as an LTR while keeping the cash flow? Well, like I mentioned, Hospitable is here to save the day. They have some of the best tools out there that will mitigate all the issues that I used to face. In the beginning, I was doing everything manual. I was typing the same message 14 times a week. I was forgetting to remind my cleaner what time we had a check-in. I had guests texting me at 1 a.m. about Wi-Fi passwords, and I was running to make sure a guest even paid before I had the right type of system. I was everything to the business. I was the coach, owner, player, mascot, everything above. But I knew I had to figure out how to actually turn this into something I could deal with going forward. Luckily with Hospitable, when I actually got signed up with them, I realized they had automated guest messaging, which was amazing because no more typing, no more guessing and scrambling to figure out my answer. It already knew what I needed to answer to them based on the information I provided. These automated guest messages from Hospitable can tell them what their check-in time is, the Wi-Fi code, check in on them after they've already came in, review requests. It sends everything automated too, so you don't even have to think about it. The next really cool feature about it is, say you have your property on Airbnb and VRBO, your calendars will link up. You can have them on multiple different websites. I have all my properties on 7 or 8 different websites, from Google Vacation Rentals, my direct booking site. All of these get synced up, and when a booking comes in on one of them, it blocks the calendar for that day. So you don't have double bookings coming in and getting the dreaded call that somebody is in the guest bed already when they just had a check-in. That same calendar sync also can sync up to things like Turno or Tidy that will sync with your cleaners. So if you have a booking come in, something like Turno, which is what I use, will sync with Hospitable. That will give a trigger into Turno to notify your cleaner that they need to clean that day, and what time, and all those things that you can set within Turno, which is a totally different video that we can go into. If you want to know about it, let me know in the comments. But once you have this set up with your cleaner and hopefully a backup cleaner, which you should always have, this makes your life so much easier on the cleaning side, because they go in, they can mark any issues they see, they can take pictures, upload them to the app, and the app can even pay them directly. This is all synced through Hospitable. They can make this instantly happen no matter where you get a booking from. And I mentioned earlier about a direct booking website that I use. That is my own website. I do about 80% direct booking on my website, and I love it because I can own the guest experience from the beginning. I can get all the information I need. I can set up everything I want to portray. But I've even heard of nightmare situations when a host will, get a scam from an Airbnb guest saying that there's bed bugs after they've stayed for a few days to try to get their money back. Airbnb will shut your listing down so quick, you won't have any way to get customers. If you have a direct booking website, your website is not going to ever be to the subject of the Airbnb overlords out there. Hospitable makes it extremely easy to set up your direct booking site. They have widgets that can integrate into custom built sites, or you can build something within their site designer they have exactly within the system. They will also vet your guests, get ID verification, and they even help avoid, credit card fraud and chargebacks. Now that you're starting to get on more platforms and you're starting to really get some bookings coming in and get your automation set up, think about how easy it's going to be to have one simple messaging system to message all these guests. You don't need to log into Verbo to send a message to this guest. Make sure you check your email to send one to the direct booking guest. Did your Airbnb guest get the code? Did your booking.com guest, did they find out where they're going? No, it's all going to be in one unified inbox that you're able to answer and go through. Just simple. There's no other way to put it. So you have to use a property management software like Hospitable to make your life easier. Even if you only have one rental, this is going to pay for itself in the time you earn back from it tenfold. It's relatively cheap. There's different plans they offer within their system. You can go to Hospitable's website, which I will link in the description below, and check out some of their pricing ranges that they have. But the even cooler feature that they just launched too is dynamic pricing within Hospitable. This is a game changer because before there's all these other third-party companies that did dynamic pricing and they did it well. And when I say dynamic pricing, this is a software that things like hotels use and other short-term rental operators that will make sure your prices are adjusting for the supply and demand in your area. Look at what other rentals similar to yours are doing, and adjust demand based on how many bookings you have coming in. And the longer you use it, the more it learns your properties and what you can actually get. These typically would, range from $20 to $30 to $40, or some were even taking 1% of the revenue they helped you bring in. But now Hospitable has it integrated within their property management software. Now it even pays for itself even more. Before they had the dynamic pricing, it already paid for itself in time and just the amount of stress and chargebacks from guests and all these other things that you couldn't do before. I'm excited to see in the future and diving into what they have in their dynamic software to really utilize it for my properties and get the maximum revenue that I can. Work smarter, not harder, even though still got to get a little hard work in there once in a while. And you've heard me just, talk about all these features, but let's give some real world numbers here. When I started using Hospitable to automate all these things, my average response time dropped to under 2 minutes. And a lot of times it may not even been me answering. My review scores actually went up, and I got about 6 hours of my week back almost per property each week. And when I started launching new listings, I didn't have to scale with a massive team. I got from 1 to 5 listings, and I still was only using Hospitable and myself while working a full-time job. So BiggerPockets did partner with Hospitable to put together a guide for why short-term rentals can be just as easy as long-term rentals. And I will put it in the description below. This is going way more in-depth in this guide. It's a free guide, so check it out. I also will leave the link in the description about Hospitable. You can get 25% off for 3 months now by clicking that link. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you've made it this far, please subscribe and check out one of these videos here I think YouTube wants you to watch. See you on the next one.